So let's take a look at the successes so far and the challenges that still lie ahead. I'm joined by Arthur Holcombe. He is the founder and president of the Poverty Alleviation Fund and previously served as resident coordinator of the UN operational activities in China. So Arthur, poverty alleviation, a major issue at the two sessions. A more targeted focus, though, is on the minority groups. I want to get your thoughts on that.
Yes. China, its socialist government has been given giving a high priority to poverty reduction, but this priority we can see goes way back to about 1979 when it first began to introduce its poverty reduction programs. These programs were focused primarily on rural, poor families in the agricultural sector, and the prime target was helping them to increase the productivity, output, and revenues of these families. In the period between 1980 and 2015, we've seen a lot of progress. In particular, Chinese efforts have managed to reduce absolute poverty from about 84% of the rural population down to about 18%. And during this period, about 700 million people were lifted out of poverty. This is an astounding accomplishment. It represents about a half of the world's total people being lifted out of poverty, and it serves as a model for other countries wishing to have better results. At the moment, we're seeing the government priority being given to the reduction of poverty by about 77 million people in 1,200 administrative villages, some of the areas where poverty is most acute. But progress is being made, and from what information I have, they are going to succeed in their targets during this period.
And Arthur, so when you're talking about some of these rural areas, but also these minority groups which they're looking to target, is it really more about helping convince them to modernize their way of living?
Well, that's a definite part of the government strategy. They are focusing still on working with the residual poor in poorest villages, often in ethnic minority areas that are suffering from one difficulty or another. But a part of the strategy has always been to also provide training, employable skills training to rural people that would enable them to find jobs in more urban areas. And so, in fact, skills training of the rural poor has been an important part of the strategy.
And we have about 30 seconds left, but just quickly looking ahead, how does China's poverty alleviation program compare, would you say, to programs in other countries? Is there anything close to the scale of what we're seeing in China?
Well, I think there's a lot that other countries can learn from China's experience, particularly the way it approaches poverty reduction in poorest areas most comprehensively. What you see in terms of the strategy is focusing on improving rural infrastructure, particularly roads, irrigation, and telecommunications and other facilities, but also improving health care and improving primary and secondary level education and skills training. So it's all of that, an infrastructure that's supporting rural poverty reduction, but then increasingly what we've seen also is an effort to actually link up rural cadres, government people with poor households and working directly with them to increase their productivity and revenue. So it's it's a very direct and immediate approach that I think stands out as a model that can be introduced in other countries in Africa and elsewhere.
All right,
but
Arthur
it'll
Holcombe.
take a lot of work.
We appreciate your thoughts, Arthur Holcombe in Boston. We appreciate it. Thank you.